So I'm going to check on the cake. It's had an hour and a half in the oven. I checked it after an hour and again at an hour and a quarter. While I'm checking the cake, I'm keeping the oven door closed, and I've got a fine skewer, and I'm going to stick that into the cake, leave it briefly and pull it out. And I can see and feel that that's clean, which means the cake is cooked. If it was still sticky, then the cake is still raw and I would need to put it back in the oven for a little longer. So I'm going to turn the oven off, and I'm going to leave that to cool for about 15 minutes on the wire rack. I haven't left it on the work surface because I want the air to be able to circulate around the tin to help to cool it quicker. And leaving it to cool for 15 minutes in the tin before taking it out will help to keep the sides of it straight. So my cake has been cooling for about 15 minutes. I've actually got it in a loose bottomed tin. So the way that I'm going to take it out is I've got a tin. This is actually a tin of tomatoes. It doesn't matter what type of tin it is. But I'm going to take the cake, sit it on the tin, and then pull the sides down. And then leave that to cool completely on the wire rack. Now that my cake is almost cool, I'm going to get the icing ready for it. Now I'm doing a cream cheese frosting. In the bowl I've got some butter, and this is at room temperature, so if I were to stick my finger in it, it'll leave a mark. If it's too hard, it'll be too difficult to mix in. So if your butter is too hard and you've got a microwave oven, put it in the microwave for about 10 seconds to soften it. Now I'm going to beat this with a whisk. So I wanted to get that really soft before I then add the icing sugar. So I'm going to start this on a low speed so it doesn't fly out of the bowl. So that's quite a thick mixture. I'm lifting the beater up slightly so that the mixture will come off it. Now to flavour it, I'm going to use some orange zest, and I've got a fine grater. This one's actually a microplane grater, and I'm going to grate the zest finely. Keep turning the orange because you'll just want to take off the orange layer where all the flavours are from the oils in the skin. You don't want to get too much of that whiteness in it because that's bitter. So it's just a very orange layer that you do. And I did wash this orange really well before I started grating it to make sure that there's no wax on it or any other sort of chemicals on it. So I think I've got most of the zest off that now. I'm just going to use a knife to take it all off. So my recipe said 200 grams of cream cheese because this cream cheese used to be in 200 gram packets, but I'm going to use 180 grams because that's the size of the packet these days. You might have a supermarket cream cheese and they still come in 200 grams. So either 180 or 200 grams. But it does need to be a full fat cream cheese. If you try and do a frosting with one of the light or reduced fat cream cheeses, you'll find it will go very runny. So I've added that and I'm now going to beat it in. So I'm going to stir that just to make sure it's all mixed. So that's my frosting ready to use. So when the frosting is made and the cake is cool, you can take the base off the tin and peel away the lining paper. And I need to cut the cake in half. You don't have to do this stage, you can leave it as it is and put all the icing on the top, or you can cut it in half and put some filling in the middle of it. So I've got a long bladed serrated knife. I'm going to rest my hand flat on top and then with a sawing motion, try and cut it through the middle of the cake. So I'm going to take the top of the cake off. Now I'm keeping it like that, so when I put it back on, it's going to line up with where it was before, because if the cake is sloping at all, then if you put it back exactly the same way, it will compensate for it. So I'm going to use about half of this frosting in the middle of the cake. And then I'm going to use a palette knife to spread it out almost to the edge. Okay, so when I've spread it out, I can then lift the top of the cake back in place, and I can now spread the rest of the icing over the top of it. So scrape out as much as you can. I'm using a silicone spoon to get as much as I can. Then I'm going to spread that right to the edge. So I'm going to transfer the cake to a serving plate. So I've got a cake stand to put this one on. And now I'm going to finish it by decorating it with my carrots. So try and place them evenly around the cake. So that's my finished carrot cake, ready to serve with a cup of tea.